Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a fantasy football video where I'm going to be reacting to your guys' fantasy takes, fantasy questions, fantasy predictions. Again, just want to say thank you to everybody who is participating in these posts. You guys are giving me content to pre-record, so you're helping me so much more than you even know. Couple of plugs before we hop into it. Don't forget to use code WyattzWorld on G Fuel, Waggle, or Prize Picks. By using my codes on G Fuel or Waggle, you'll save a discount on any other products, and by using it at sign up on Prize Picks, you're going to guarantee yourself to win a free $50 with your first $5 entry. But as always, please play responsibly, and let's get into the video. Okay, folks, so here we are. You know the drill. Hit your boy with a follow if you want a chance to participate in a future Twitter video. Now let's hop into the dang thing. So starting off from 19, he says, is Brian Thomas Jr. a first-round pick? Now I gotta keep it a bean with you. As far as mock draft goes, I have no idea where he's dropping right now because I haven't done a single one. And if you guys want me to make a video of me doing a mock draft, get this to 3,000 likes and I'll do it. But if it's in a 10-man league to 12-man league, I'm gonna guess he's falling into the early second round. If you're in like a 14-man or more, he's probably gonna go late one. I mean, you gotta think about Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Saquon, Bijan, Jahmyr Gibbs. Both Josh Jacobs and Jonathan Taylor, they're gonna go early, in my opinion at least. And I know I'm forgetting a few, so I'm gonna say late one, early two. Bieber says, is Ashton Genty worth taking with a high round pick? Well, I'll tell you what right now, if you don't use a high round pick, you're not gonna get him. He'll probably go in the first round as well. And I mean, it's a 50-50 toss-up. I remember playing when Saquon was a rookie. He went like 4th overall in my league, and he was well worth it. I also remember Clyde Edwards getting drafted at like 6th overall in another one of my league. Thankfully, I didn't get him. It's how confident you feel in Ashton Genty if you're going to take him early, but understand that's the only chance you're going to have to get him. Thomas says, what's a better pick, Bijan or Derrick Henry? Bijan Robinson, 100%. Especially if you're in PPR because the guy is such a terrific receiving back. But even if you're not in PPR, you're still getting all the extra yardage and touchdowns from receiving. Commander Season says, is Justin Fields worth taking in fantasy? You know, I saw a headline on ESPN of someone predicting him to be a top 3 quarterback this year in fantasy. I don't agree with that take, but is he worth taking? I do think he is worth giving a chance. Probably not as your quarterback one, but as another quarterback to have on your team. Because he is going to be running the ball a lot, and he is the starting quarterback there. So you're always going to have the upside and what-if factor, but it's a big gamble to have him as your week 1 starter, in my opinion. Fennec says, you have the first overall pick. Who do you take? Do you think it's obvious? Saquon. My top 3 would be Saquon, Bijan, Jahmyr. Reed Truther says PPR is the only way to play fantasy. I hate PPR, to be honest. Nothing worse than losing in fantasy because the person you're playing had a receiver who had 8 receptions for 34 yards. Like, it's the most ridiculous thing ever. Chris says, is Nico Collins worth a first-round pick in a 12-man league? I wouldn't. I don't think he's bad. I'm just not as high on him as a lot of people, and the guy's also extremely injury-prone, which for a first-round pick, you're kind of risking your entire season. Brody says, this is Kyle Pitts' breakout year. Yeah, for sure, man. You should definitely probably take him in like the first 3 rounds. Here's a Packer fan, CJ, saying that Matthew Golden will be the best rookie receiver in fantasy. Most definitely get utilized like Reed in the run game. Look, I'm just a guy giving a take, but I don't think he's gonna be very good. I think he's very undersized. He's like 5'11" and weighs 190 pounds. Guys, that's not much bigger than me. I know I haven't watched the guy live in college, but from what I've seen on the highlight reels and just statistics, basic statistics, outside of his yards per reception, I don't really see the hype. I'll gladly admit I'm wrong if I'm wrong. You guys know it. Tommy, where would you feel comfortable drafting Christian McCaffrey? That's a good one. I'll tell you right now, I would not take him in the first round if it's a 12-man league and under. But if he fell to me in the second, it would also be like incredibly hard to not take him. You know what I mean? I'd probably take him in the second round. I just wouldn't blow a first-round pick on him. Tox Seahawk says, what is the most appropriate time to draft a tight end? I drafted Laporta in the 8th and got flamed for it? How did he drop to the 8th round? What are you playing in, like a 4-man league? Or are you saying you picked him 8th overall because you should get flamed for that? Now, while I do think Brock Bowers has a case to be a late first-round pick, I usually don't draft a tight end until, well, last year I got Kittle in the 6th, but usually around that 4 to 6 range. I don't like to reach, which sometimes you need to do that to win a fantasy league, but almost always in rounds like 4 through 8, there will be a plethora of tight ends still remaining. Just Sam Laporta should not have been there that late, though. Balty says, is Lamar the best quarterback to take in the draft? I believe so. Him and Josh always always go first in my drafts, and usually they go at like the end of the 3rd round. And I mean, that is a reach for a quarterback, but Lamar and Josh Allen, I mean, they're like a guaranteed 25 points a week, often more. You can pick your poison. However, it should be noted that unless I'm crazy, Lamar Jackson did outscore Josh in fantasy last year. Wade says Anthony Richardson will finish top 5 in points. Even ahead of Lamar Jackson. Browns fan, by the way. Yes, we exist. You should definitely draft AR early. DK Metcalf, says Jaylen Warren will be a top 10 in fantasy, running back or total. I would not draft a Pittsburgh running back this year unless you want a headache. I really think that's just going to be a battle between him and Caleb Johnson every week, with one of them getting more carries than the other. Rocket Man says, what are your favorite and least favorite ideas for last place punishments? I mean, personally, in my fantasy league, if you finish last, we just kill you. I'm kidding. That was a joke. Seriously though, my least favorite fantasy punishments are the ones where you have to go sit in a store for 24 hours, and then every time you eat a cheeseburger, it'll shave an hour off. Those ones suck, dude. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody's gonna actually do it. And if you do, why? You know half the people in your league wouldn't live up to it. Also, I think anything that involves being permanent, like tattoos, piercings, that's just stupid. My favorite punishments, and I think the more reasonable punishments, are like the loser has to supply all the beer at the next year's draft. Loser has to supply the food at the next year's draft. Something harmless. It's fantasy football. People take it way too far. And honestly, just trying to help the younger generation out, because I was a kid at one point too who is now grown into an adult. Doing those punishments does not make you look impressive or cool. A matter of fact, it makes you look like an idiot, and not like in a funny way. It makes you look like a legitimate idiot. Every person that's walking past you as you're sitting in this restaurant or shopping mall for 24 hours. Every person that sees you walking around in some costume that you have to wear. They're literally just thinking, wow, am I happy I am not their parent? Besides Josh Allen, any other Bills players good pickups? Well, I'd say James Cook is pretty good. Khalil Shakir is another one. He's a great flex player to have. Aiden says, do I think taking CeeDee Lamb in the 1st round this year will not be wise considering Dallas now has George Pickens? I would still take CeeDee in the 1st round. I would take CeeDee probably in the top 8. Maybe not top 8, but top 10. Tayton says he has Nakua, Devontae Adams, and Diggs. Starting Nakua no matter what week 1, but I'm tossed between Diggs and Adams. This is about one of the only duos in the league you could actually play both receivers in fantasy and probably get away with it, but I would go Nakua and Diggs. Maybe flex Adams if you really need to, but you put yourself in a debacle there. Typically, when one does really good, the other one does nothing. Liam says Garrett Wilson will be a top 5 wide receiver in full PPR. He will not. I don't think it's going to be much of a pass-first offense there. Should you draft Kyren Williams? Touchdown machine last season. People are saying not to draft him. Who is saying that? Buffalo says, is Cam Ward a sleeper pick? And also, what's the best defense to take? I would probably take Baltimore's defense this year in fantasy. And Cam Ward, I'm starting to be a little concerned about him. Is anybody else just realizing that we're not hearing anything about the guy at all? Like, I know that camp just started now, but I have not heard anybody talking about him. And I'm starting to wonder if it's just because he's not that impressive. Dylan here says, who do I think will have the biggest leap in overall points this year? Right away, the first guy that comes to my mind is Chig. Chigoziem Okonkwo. I don't know if that's his nickname. It's just what I call him now. I think he's going to finish as like a top, I don't want to say anything too crazy here, but he'll be a top 10 fantasy tight end. Like, wouldn't be shocked if he was top 8. Another guy that I think will take a massive leap in points is Chase Brown. Should be the full starter, should be getting full reps. That guy's going to put up a lot of points. This is one I already responded to, but I want to show you guys an example of what not to do. Jacob here says he takes a quarterback first, a running back second, and then 2 wide receivers. You don't do that. And this is what I like to talk about too that I had responded to, because Tristan Schumann said, what are my thoughts on taking a running back in your flex compared to a wide receiver in a point per reception league? And obviously I explained it in the tweet here below, but I don't have a problem with that at all, actually. As we were talking about earlier, you know, running backs who are receiving backs in non or in PPR, they're getting all the extra yardage for whatever they catch no matter what. Now PPR, you're just getting all the reception points tacked on top of that, where I think at times, often, unless it's an elite receiver, a running back will serve as a better flex than a wide receiver in fantasy football. And the reverse sport says Kyler Murray will finish his QB5. No, he will not. And that is going to do it, ladies and gentlemen, for me reacting to your guys' fantasy takes and fantasy questions. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope I was able to provide some, positive assistance to some people. Anyway, like I said, you hit the like button. I'll make sure to get a mock draft done for a video. I think that'd be a lot of fun. But in the meantime, I'm going to get this ripped up so you guys can watch it on time. Just a reminder, I am gone all of next week, so every video is a pre-record. Not that this one wasn't, because it is. But have a great weekend, everybody, and I will see you in the next upload.